And see, he was your man, like on the side, like in the side, just he was not a rapper at all. Right. So when Ballin' took place, and I'm looking and I'm going, oh, he having a moment. That's the Lloyd Banks. It's Lloyd Banks thing. He wanted that. He was watching them be that, like Mace be that, and Cam be that, and looked at, and it was finally he had one. Mm-hmm. And I just looked, and I knew I just took the shot, murder, to see, because I wasn't sure he was gonna go for it. But I was like, we like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam. You gotta watch and see how he was. And then you see, he like, oh shit, he really like that. Give me this, Jimmy. Yeah, we want you at the show, Jimmy. Yo, but that was one of those things I just threw it out. And see, he was the only song that almost didn't make that album was Mini Man.
Wow!
And it was because of the tempo.
Broke my heart.
It was slower than the other records and I wanted to keep everybody up. And then Dre was like, nah, that gotta go. You gotta keep that one. And then we put it, and then that was the end of it.
And whenever you're ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for Super Bowl 60? Are you ready for the excitement, the adrenaline? Braxton Cognac. What the fuck? What happened with the lights, man?
You can't get them to stop smoking weed.
I
went to the trailer. I was like, yo, just can you chill? Just can you chill? He was like, get out of here, man. Nah, he's going, no, it's legal, Fitz. It's legal.
He was your man, like on the side, like in the side, just he was not a rapper at all. Right. So when Ballin' took place, and I'm looking and I'm going, oh, he having a moment. That's the Lloyd Banks. It's Lloyd Banks thing. He wanted that. He was watching them be that, like Mace be that, and Cam be that, and looked at, and it was finally he had one. Mm-hmm. And I just looked, and I knew I just took the shot, murder, to see, because I wasn't sure he was gonna go for it. But I was like, we like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam. You gotta watch and see how he was. And then you see, he like, oh shit, he really like that. Give me this, Jimmy. Yeah, we want you at the show, Jimmy. Yo, but that was one of those things I just threw it out. And see,
50 Cent music ain't terrible. It ain't bad. He got some great music. But the thing is, he can't compete.
Right.
This ain't the way you can compete, because it's like you're gonna have to drop 3 dishes to even catch up. And you gotta drop them in 3 different forms. You gotta drop one being lyrical, you gotta drop one being sentimental, and you gotta drop one being very disrespectful.
I think the best thing for 50 to do is not drop anything, just to bow out gracefully.
Yeah, just say, bro, y'all got it.
A rapper's son, a high-speed stop in the middle of the night, a loaded situation, and somehow a bright yellow Pikachu onesie right in the center of it all. It sounds like a joke, but it isn't. Because what happened that night didn't just turn into a viral moment, it dropped right into the middle of one of hip-hop's messiest feuds and handed one man exactly what he's been waiting for. It was just after 1 a.m. when everything started to unravel. A camo-wrapped Cybertruck moving way too fast through a quiet stretch of road. What should have been a simple traffic stop quickly turned into something much bigger. Officers clocked the vehicle speeding well over the limit, weaving through lanes, ignoring basic signals. By the time they caught up, the situation already felt off. But then it escalated fast. Behind the wheel was King Harris, the son of T.Y. and Tiny Harris, and sitting right there on the dashboard within arm's reach was a firearm. That's when everything changed. Officers immediately ordered him out of the vehicle. But instead of complying, King hesitated, questioned, delayed. What could have ended in minutes started stretching into something tense. And then, somehow, it got even stranger. Because while officers were dealing with a visible weapon and a non-compliant driver, King pulled out his phone. Not to call for help, not to de-escalate, but to post. A picture hit his Instagram story. Him, in a full Pikachu onesie, bright yellow, hood up, caption joking about the situation like it was all a game. For a moment, it almost didn't feel real. But it was. And it was about to get worse. Once he was finally taken into custody, the situation didn't calm down. It escalated again. During the booking process, officers reportedly found a controlled substance on him. That instantly raised the stakes. This wasn't just reckless driving anymore. This was something that could follow him for years. Stack that with obstruction, speeding, and everything that happened during the stop, and suddenly this viral moment started looking a lot more serious. And the problem wasn't just what happened that night. It's that it wasn't the first time. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a pattern that had been building quietly for years. There had already been previous run-ins, earlier traffic issues, missed court appearances, situations that could have been warning signs, but didn't seem to change the direction things were heading. Each moment added another layer, another headline, another reason for people to start paying closer attention. And by 2026, it wasn't just concern anymore. It was expectation. Because when the same story keeps repeating itself, eventually people stop being surprised. But what really turned this into a full-blown spectacle wasn't just the arrest, it was who was watching. To understand why this moment exploded the way it did, you have to look at the bigger picture. Because King Harris hadn't just been living his life quietly. He had stepped directly into a public war, one involving 50 Cent, and not as a bystander, as an active participant. What started as tension between 50 Cent and T.I. had been simmering for years. Subtle shots, occasional comments, nothing too explosive, until recently. Then it boiled over. Social media became the battlefield, and 50, known for turning trolling into an art form, started aiming directly at the Harris family. Not just T.I., but those closest to him. That's when King stepped in, and he didn't hold back. King Harris came in with intensity, with emotion, with something to prove. He called 50 out publicly, brought up old controversies, took shots at his past, questioned his credibility, even posted material that crossed into territory most people wouldn't touch. It wasn't just defense, it was escalation. And then came the moments that made people pause. Personal jabs, family references, lines that even his own father later admitted went too far. At that point, it stopped being just a rap feud. It became something deeper, more personal, more volatile. And while King was going all in, 50 Cent was doing something very different. Because while King was firing nonstop, 50 Cent barely reacted the way people expected. No long rants, no emotional responses, just memes, subtle posts, strategic silence. He turned serious attacks into jokes, reduced heated moments into entertainment, and most importantly, he stayed in control. That's the difference. One side was reacting, the other was waiting. And then, the arrest happened. Everything King had been building, everything he had been saying, suddenly collided with reality. A late-night arrest, a visible weapon, a serious charge, and a Pikachu costume that made the whole thing impossible to ignore. It wasn't just a bad look, it was the perfect setup. Because now, the narrative had flipped. The same person who had been calling someone else out was now the one being questioned, the one being criticized, the one going viral for all the wrong reasons. And the internet noticed immediately. But what really shocked people wasn't just the arrest, it was what happened after. After posting bond, most people would have gone quiet, stepped back, let things cool down. King did the opposite. He came back online, same energy, same tone, turning the situation into content, joking about it, leaning into the moment like it was all part of the plan. At one point, even appearing in that same onesie again, like nothing had changed. For some people, it was entertaining. For others, it was concerning. Because this wasn't just about image anymore. There were real consequences on the table. And while the internet laughed, there was one person watching all of this from a very different perspective. When T.I. arrived at the scene that night, his reaction told a completely different story. No yelling, no chaos, just controlled concern. He spoke to officers calmly, asked questions carefully. You could see it in the way he handled himself. This wasn't new to him. He understood exactly how situations like this could spiral. Because he's lived it. And that's what made the moment heavier. A father who had already walked that path, watching his son slowly step closer to the same kind of consequences. And in moments like this, there's a kind of silence that speaks louder than anything else. Because not every situation has a solution you can fix in real time. Now the situation has moved far beyond social media clips and comment sections. What started as online tension has shifted into something heavier: legal concerns, formal attention, and outcomes that won't simply disappear once the conversation moves on. The internet tends to move fast, but systems like this don't. At the same time, the public narrative has already locked into place. People have chosen sides, clipped moments out of context, and built entire interpretations from fragments of events. On one side, you have 50 Cent, measured, strategic, someone who has spent years learning how to control momentum without reacting emotionally. On the other, King Harris is seen trying to establish his own identity, but getting caught in situations that only add pressure and scrutiny to his name. And that contrast is what makes the situation so amplified. It's not just about the conflict itself, it's about perception, how it's framed, how it spreads, how quickly a moment can turn into a label that sticks longer than the event that created it. King Harris wanted to step into a space dominated by one of the most experienced figures in entertainment. He wanted to make a statement, to be seen on his own terms. But instead, the moment escalated in a way that didn't need exaggeration. It already carried enough weight on its own. And if there's one consistent pattern with 50 Cent, it's that moments like this rarely go unnoticed, and even more rarely go unused. So now the real question isn't just what happens next in the situation, it's what story will ultimately outlast the noise. It's what happens next in the story. Because this isn't over, not in the courtroom, not online, and definitely not in a feud where every mistake becomes content and every moment can flip the entire narrative overnight. And this time, that flip already happened. What started as confidence and confrontation has now turned into something bigger than either of them fully controls. Once a situation reaches this level of attention, it stops belonging to the people involved and starts belonging to the audience watching it unfold. Every clip gets replayed, every statement gets reinterpreted, every reaction becomes part of a larger story that keeps rewriting itself in real time. And in that kind of environment, control becomes an illusion. One moment can shift perception, one headline can reset the tone, and one wrong move can echo far longer than the original intent behind it. Now all eyes are on what comes next, not just the outcomes, but the adjustments, the responses, the silence in between. Because in moments like this, even doing nothing says something. And while the public keeps dissecting every detail, the reality is still moving forward behind the scenes, where consequences don't depend on opinions and outcomes aren't decided by engagement. So now the situation sits at a turning point. The energy has shifted, the narrative has changed hands, and the only thing left to see is who adapts to it best. If you want more breakdowns like this, make sure you stay tuned and consider subscribing.